Monday.
Welcome back to the ever-changing MCG. At half-time, the Tigers in front of the Demons. That's what the MCG looks like at the moment. As I mentioned, they are making very quick progress with it. And very soon, of course, we'll have a new stand. And on that note, we can welcome the Chief Executive, the head of the Melbourne Cricket Club, Stephen Goff. Welcome, Stephen.
Thank you, Anthony.
Everything going pretty well with the stand at the moment?
Very, very good. We've got to get those extra seats to get the grand final capacity to 80,000, and we're well on track to do that.
So what's the capacity at the moment?
70,000. That's with all standing room and all seats and all corporate areas being used. And by grand final, we must be at 80, and I'm confident we'll be there.
What's the biggest crowd we've had so far this year?
65 is the biggest, and I think that, you know, there's always concerns because standing room's a difficult one to fill, and sometimes the corporates aren't filled, and MCC and AFL members and others don't always turn up, so that's affected the total capacity, but we can handle it.
Now, you've been around in football for a long time. You're a fair man. Do you believe in fair competition for the AFL, and teams, if they earn the right to finish on higher than the other one on the ladder, should they have that right in the final?
Well, I think this issue has been around for a long time, and in fact, if you go back to the original agreement some 12 years ago, we had interstate sides in, and the competition has gone from a 5 to a 6 to an 8. We've had permutations of whether the home team should host one or not. But originally the deal, and ratified again only 18 months ago, that the MCG will host a number of finals, including at least one preliminary final. Now, as I say, ratified 18 months ago with all of those known variables, I think it's in the AFL's court to honour that.
So they're painting you as the bad guy. Now, Mike Sheehan recently wrote an article saying something had to be done. Come on, sort this out before the finals. The interstate teams are going well. It looks like we could have an all-interstate preliminary final again, and it could be played here in Melbourne even.
Well, I'm sure the argument, if your team is sitting high, you'd be saying that let's get it sorted out. But this is the home of the game. This is the home of the finals. The grand final will never be played somewhere else.
But the preliminary final, surely that's different. Mike talks about an olive branch there. Is it up to the AFL to offer you some sort of compensation? Or
we're happy to talk. Well, we've talked at length before we got this agreement done.
But we're going nowhere on it? Wayne Jackson wanted to do it before he goes out, and he's struggling, is he, to do it?
I think he'd like to get it done as something for the interstate club before he goes, but again, who knows? Port Adelaide playing Sydney, say, here may be a sensational game at the MCG.
So is it a money thing?
It's a combination of all things. I think when the stands were first done and the AFL members were created here, there were a lot of givens that football would be here for 40 years in a certain capacity. Now, that has to be honoured, and we've discussed it at length, and I think it's a pretty reasonable deal for the competition as well as the ground.
Thanks for joining us tonight. We look forward to those negotiations taking place over the next few months.
Thank you, Anthony.
Stephen Goff from the Melbourne Cricket Club. And, well, it's certainly going to be one to watch leading into the finals. The interstate clubs are going well. There's a match involving two non-Victorian clubs at the moment. We're going to have a look at the score for that game. Very interesting one indeed. The Brisbane Lions taking on Adelaide. And there's the half-time score. Some...